So I saw this article that basically is about the fact that the U.S. government is getting involved in this whole debate about whether or not console, like jailbreaking slash
Yeah.
modding, should be considered illegal. Because currently, I believe it is. But now you can
Yeah.
actually do that to your phone, and it's not considered illegal.
Yeah, and I would love to know illegal in what capacity? As in, like, can someone call the police and say, oh, he modded his Xbox, and the police come and arrest you? Or is it just like they no longer need to support your warranty? I mean, obviously they don't have to support your warranty if you've hacked this thing, but I really would love to know, like, man, I got 6 months for hacking my Xbox, you know? Like,
Can you imagine? Jail's already overcrowded.
It's just
like,
so
where
weird
would you
and
put
dumb.
people for that kind of stuff?
yeah,
It's probably more like a fine, that kind of thing.
a fine, or maybe just like new software won't work on your thing or something. But to make it illegal seems nuts.
So, I was reading this article, and, obviously there's two camps. There's the side of the consumer, which is, if I buy the hardware, why do I not actually legally own it and can do whatever I want with it?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, the side for, the Entertainment Software Association, of course, the Record Industry Association of America, and the Motion Picture Association of America. And as you can tell, guys, I'm really good with enunciating today.
MPAA?
Yep, our favorite peoples.
Yeah.
So they argue that, this leads to piracy, right? Because you jailbreak something and
Yeah.
then you can start running, pirated software on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's hard to disagree with.
It is, but at the same time, it's like a slippery slope argument, which you really can't base, like, in least, I mean, it's logically it's unsound, you know?
Sorry, in what regard? I guess I would say that clearly it makes sense that jailbreaking hardware, whether it's your iPhone or your console, is a tool toward piracy. I guess I wouldn't then also agree necessarily that means that it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, until the person is actually pirating,
Right.
you can't accuse them of pirating.
Sure.
Like,
Right.
and
Just because I own a gun doesn't mean I'm going to shoot somebody.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
And it annoys me so much, the idea that I buy hardware and I can't do whatever I want with it. I mean, I think it's completely within the rights of the company to then lock you out of future updates or maybe even make new games not work or something. But to tell you that you can't do something to hardware that you paid
Yeah.
for seems really not cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even in the case you gave where they could potentially lock you out of new games or prevent you from connecting to their network.
Yeah, I
agree
think
they
that's
should be
their
able
right.
to.
If you got to
Right.
play by their rules if you want to use that, but at the same time you own this, system,
Sure, and I can still see also being upset that that's happening. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, because everyone I know who has had a modded Xbox uses it for pirating games.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know anyone who uses it for their media center or whatever, I
Right.
mean, that is totally possible, and there's probably people who want to do that, but I don't know anyone who's done that.
Yeah, but sometimes that can, I think, actually hurt the manufacturer. So let's take the PSP, a very heavily modded piece of hardware. I had one that I had modded, and I put like old PlayStation games I had on it. I would take my copies of the games, rip them, and then put them on the PSP, and I could play them. But then that prevented me from connecting to PlayStation Network, and so I never, or
So you never
even
bought any
buying
more
new
games,
games. Like
yeah.
I couldn't buy. I had this piece of hardware that I basically had to make the decision: would I rather play this new game that I'm kind of interested in, or would I rather play this, backlog of games that I've put a lot of effort into trying to play?
So my question for you is, if they had made it an option to basically buy versions of all the old games you wanted to put on there, would you have gone the legal route?
Oh yeah, absolutely, because it's such a pain in the ass to do it the illegal way.
Yeah, that's how you beat piracy, is you just offer an easier,
Yeah.
service than piracy.
So, I mean, that's kind of the question I was going to ask you guys in relation to this topic, and Mark Ryan, you already kind of touched on it, which was that you have gone the modded route. Like, I was wondering, Alex, if you had ever modded a console, or at least, like, jailbroken
I had a
it.
modded original Xbox, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What'd you use it for?
Ripping games. I would.
You guys aren't helping with the other
I mean, I don't know
arguments.
what the heck else you do with it. I mean, I would rent games from Blockbuster. I would put them on the hard drive, and then I would bring the game back to Blockbuster.
So here's what.
And eventually the disk drive broke, and then I could no longer play new games. I could only play what was actually on the drive. But, I mean, hey, that's what I got,
Yeah, I mean, so like in the case with iPhone too, right? Jailbreaking's been around for a long time. That lets you do piracy, sure, but it also opens up a lot of things that
Like
you
tethering.
don't have access
Mm-hmm.
to. Sure, tethering's one thing, or even just modifying your phone in ways that Apple doesn't let you.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely, and then also with jailbroken. Jailbreaking, didn't that term originate with iPhone? Like,
It did.
Yeah.
what I don't. Is it just modding? I forget what word we used before.
Before we would just say mod, but
Mod,
like that
alright.
could refer to a whole like
Sure.
array of things,
Yeah.
right? So it could be a software modification, it could be actual like hardware. Like I remember, what was it, like the original PlayStation, where if you wanted to play games from other regions, you actually had to like solder on like a different chip to it.
Right. Right. So like, I mean, in the past, modded consoles have enabled independent game development. Like I actually played Cave Story on my PSP, which wasn't for sale on PSP. It wasn't for sale anywhere because the guy that made the game just put it out there for free. But that's something that's enabled by modded hardware that's not illegal.
Yeah, I just think that's so much of buying hardware starts to feel like leasing hardware. Like when you buy a phone and you use it for 2 years, and then you sell it back to AT&T or whatever. It almost is like, I never bought that thing. I bought a lease for 2 years, and like I really don't like that feeling. And that's why I would, that's why the jailbreaking thing seems like something that you just have to allow to happen, because the person bought that hardware, they bought those parts, that's what they're going to do with it, and you can do whatever you want to try and lock out piracy or to, make it unattractive to do. But I think it's just a bridge too far to completely like illegalize jailbreaking.
Yeah, it seems
It would be like if you bought a car and someone told you couldn't work on the engine or something,
right.
So according to what I was reading, that the U.S. Copyright Office basically came down on the side of consumers when this last came up as a topic
Yeah.
back, I think, in 2012. And it,
With regard to phones, or
with regard to just, I think, this particular issue
okay,
in general.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be any different. And also, by the way, they are accepting written comments from like the general public. So if this is a topic that's near and dear to you, you can reach out to them until May 1st. So you have like a week and a half or so, maybe 2 weeks actually. And then they actually are going to have public hearings on these kind of exemptions in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles on May 19th through the 21st. So if this is something you feel really passionate about, definitely look into it, read up more on it, get involved if that's something you want to do. But just say, I was want to ask you guys, just say that for some reason they decide, okay, we're going to side with, these industry groups, and it's illegal. Would you care? Would you keep doing what you were going to do anyway? Because I would. 'Cause
Yeah, if I
feel
were going to
like-
do it, I don't think
Sure.
it would stop me.
Like, I'm willing to accept the consequences of, like, there was a time where you could actually, I think, modify your Wii to, like, do homebrew stuff, but then they released, like, an update that if you connected and downloaded it, it basically locked you out of that and overwrote the OS, so you couldn't do that anymore.
right.
I'm willing to trade off things like, okay, I no longer have internet access for this console. I no longer have access to these firmware updates if I really wanted to do what I wanted to do with it that badly.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.